Guys, today we are going to be talking about the linear equation in the standard form and how to graph from it when it's in this form. And standard form is ax plus by equals c. So this right here is what we call linear standard form. This is linear standard form. Okay, we will convert these equations to slope-intercept form. And remember, that is slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So in order to do that, that's pretty much solve for y. You're going to solve for y. So let's talk about what that is actually going to look like. So your first step would be to add or subtract, depending on what is needed. Add, subtract ax to move to other side of equal sign. Okay. Step 2, divide all terms by b, just b. Okay, so again, remember, steps to convert, we're solving for y. That's the goal, to solve for y in the equation. Okay, now it's just going to be working some examples. Okay, so my goal is to get the y by itself. How is x connected to it? That's a positive x. So I'm going to subtract x to make it equal to 0. Remember, I want this to zero out. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. Now, I put that underneath. I'm not going to do that. They are not like terms. Now, remember, I want it to look like y equals mx plus b, which means I want the variable term written first. So when I write my answer, it's y equals negative x minus 2. This is rewritten in slope-intercept form. Okay, next example. This is where we have to pull back in our solving equations rules. Okay, I want to solve for y. So I've got to move the 5x over here first. It's a positive, so I have to subtract 5x to make that equal 0. Subtract 5x on this side, and we get 6y equals negative 5x plus 12. Now, y is not by itself yet. So my next step, 6 is multiplied to the y, so that means I have to divide everything by 6. Every term is divided by 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1, so that cancels out, and I'm left with y equals, leave this as the fraction. Leave slope, which is m, as simplified improper fraction. Okay, don't forget the x, negative 5/6 x plus 2. And there's my equation. Again, if you're struggling, pause it, rewatch it. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, last example for this section, solving for y. So that's a positive x, subtract x. Could have picked one that was not, but let's do number 4. So with this one, that's a negative 2x. So that means I'm going to add 2x to both sides. This zeroes out, and I'm left with 6y equals 2x minus 24. Oh, I'm dividing by 6 again to everything. Y equals, this is 2/6. That can simplify. 2/6 simplifies to 1/3. So we end up with 1/3 x minus 4. That is your final answer. So glad I switched to this question. That's a good question to have. Okay, Now we're adding a little bit to this. This was just rewriting it in slope-intercept form. Now we're going to actually take it a step further and we're going to graph once we have that equation. Okay, we're adding the then graph part, which we've done already. All right, so I'm going to subtract 3x, subtract 3x. So that zeroes out and I have y equals negative 3x plus 5. So I pull out and I have my slope, which is negative 3 over 1. I have my b, which is 5, which is 0, 5. So I plot that first. 5, 2, 4, 5. So there's my y-intercept. Now I use my slope, which is down 3 to the right 1. I can't go up, so I have to go down. 1, 2, 3 over 1. 1, 2, 3 over 1. And now I continue the pattern all the way through, and I get my straight edge, and I play connect the dots. Go all the way through the graph and put my arrow. Okay, let's move on. And we're going to work a couple of other examples so we have some more to refer to. Remember, pause it if you need to so you can digest what's being said and talked about. All right, number 9. Okay, first step, got to solve for y. Okay, so subtract 5x, subtract 5x, zeros out. 2y equals negative 5x plus 6. Divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. Y equals, leaving it as the improper fraction. So I can do rise over run, negative 5/2 x plus 3. So my slope is negative 5/2. My y-intercept is 3, which is 0, 3. So plot that point first. And now I use my slope. It's a negative slope, so my line better go this way. Negative 5, so I'm going down 5 to the right 2. I can't go up, so I have to go down for sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the right 2. And those are the only 2 points that I can plot because that's all that will fit on this graph. And we play connect the dots and put our arrow. And notice the work is rearranging the equation and then graphing it. All right, 2 more examples where the equations look a little bit different. Okay, looking at, or we end up with something that might be a little bit different. Okay, so for number 12, here we go. We're solving for y. It's a negative 8x. So to get it to equal to 0, I add 8x to both sides. So I have negative 12y equals 8x. I can write the plus 0, but I don't need to because 0 plus 8x equals 8x. I don't have to write that plus 0. Divide by negative 12. These cancel, and I have y equals, now I've got 8, negative 8/12. That can be simplified by dividing by 4. So that's going to give me negative 2/3. So that is the slope that I have, negative 2/3 x. We always want the fractions simplified. Okay, so now my slope is negative 2/3. My y-intercept, there's nothing added or subtracted. So remember, that's understood to be plus 0. So my y-intercept is 0. So I have 0, 0. There's my y-intercept, negative. So I'm going to go down 2 to the right 3, or we can actually go in the opposite direction here, up 2 to the left 3. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And nope, can't go anymore. So now we play connect the dots. Because we only have to have 2 points in order to be able to graph a line, but we graph as many as we can to be accurate. Because you're eventually going to have to predict from these lines that you're drawing. All right, last example, number 13. Okay, so I've got to get y by itself. So I subtract x because that's a positive x. So I subtract x, this zeroes out. Don't forget to bring down that negative. That's a big mistake that has commonly happened. It's a negative 4y equals negative x minus 4. Now I divide everything by negative 4. Now, it's going to be helpful to remember that this is understood to be a 1 right here. It's just not written. Okay, so this cancels, and I'm going to have y equals, now a negative divided by a negative, that gives me a positive 1/4. X, a negative divided by a negative, gives me a positive 1. And now we pull out our slope, which is 1/4, and our y-intercept b, which is 1, and that's the point 0, 1. At that point, it's positive, so I'm going up 1, to the right 4, or down 1, and to the left 4. Okay, up 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, or down 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's all that I can plot. So I now play connect the dots. Here we go, and we draw the arrows, and your assignment is to finish the notes and work on the homework. Have a great day.